Did you guys hit eight figures or what was the growth trajectory?
We hit the eight-figure run rate by like month 7.
All right. What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 1 of a brand new podcast. And it's so brand new that we don't even have a name for this podcast anymore yet. So I think Ryan and I got to do a little bit of a brainstorming for this. Just wanted to quickly go over why we want to start this podcast. I tell my reasons first, and then maybe Ryan, you can share a little bit about yours. And then today I'd love to dive into Ryan's story about how he was able to build multiple e-commerce businesses. And he's been in the game for a long time. He's got so much knowledge in his head. And my goal today is to extract all of that knowledge and give it to you guys. But the reason why I want to start this podcast is there's a few reasons, but number one is I think there's a lot of cool people in the e-com space doing really cool things. I realize that I'm just going to be a merchant for the rest of my life. I think if we were to go back 1,000 years, we would be the guys at the night market or at the market selling stuff. And that's what I just realized is that I'm like the digital merchant nowadays. So I just feel like this is probably going to be something I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And podcast is a great way to meet other people in this space. And number two is I think the viewers from a business perspective, I think people that consume podcasts, they're very, very valuable in terms of possibly like selling a mastermind to them down the road or doing an event or even getting sponsorships. So yeah, I mean, selfishly, those are the reasons why we want to start this podcast. I think it was inspired a lot by the Operator podcast as well, because I listened to them and I feel like those guys have done such a good job. But the only thing is I feel like they're so far ahead of the game and they have, 9-figure businesses. I feel like for some of the smaller guys, there could be a podcast that's more tailored to them. Instead of leading a team of over 100 people, what about a team of 5, team of 10? What does that look like? So on and so forth. So yeah, Ryan, why did you decide to join this podcast?
It's been about 2 years since I've consistently made any sort of like video content. And I think when you brought the idea to me, it's pretty easy to kind of get lazy when like making video content is difficult and time consuming. And when you're in the routine, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's easier to be consistent. And it's kind of like for me, it felt like I kind of stopped going to the gym. I just stopped doing it. And it was difficult for me to get my head back in the right space to do it. I enjoy making this type of content. Before 2 years ago, I was pretty consistently a guest on a podcast, like almost weekly for like years. And I don't know, I just like stopped flexing the muscle, and I enjoy like helping people, and I love being in this space. And I don't know, this just kind of wanted to do something where I was putting myself out there again, and because it's been about 2 years, and this just seemed like a great opportunity to do that. And I know you're great at organizing all this stuff and putting together really solid content. And I'm like, well, if Tom's looking for somebody to do it with him, I'm like, this is a good opportunity for me to reflex that muscle with somebody who has experience versus me just always trying to figure it out by myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, I mean, we're ideally would like to get a third and even possibly a fourth host. So if you're listening to this right now and you have a successful e-commerce brand, something that have done at least 8 figures, and you want to be, you're a Yaposaurus, someone who likes to yap a lot and come on the show, weekly jam and learn and just shoot the shit, let us know. You can shoot me an email at hello@tomwang.io to see if you are qualified, if you're want to go off of an interview. Anyways, so
Don't email me. I won't look at my emails.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, look, I think for the first 2 episodes, I'm going to interview Ryan for the first episode, and then Ryan maybe can interview me for the second episode, just to get people to know kind of our stories. But I think Ryan's someone in the e-com space, in the D2C space, is very well respected. He's been in the game for a very, very long time. So I love to like just take this all the way back, Ryan. Like, when was your first interaction with e-commerce? When was the first when was the moment you made your first dollar online on the internet?
I mean, that was way before e-commerce. Like you see the silver in my hair. If you're watching, we're talking like the late 90s. One of the guys I started Tru Earth with, Kevin Hinton, him and I had like we had built these like just basic websites back in the late 90s. I think the first one that ever actually made us money was on this. There's a platform called TerraShare. They basically hosted websites, and then they would put the ads on there, and they would give you a cut of the ads. And it's like in like probably 97, 98, we had ads up running then. But I've had like, since then I've had entertainment sites like, jokes and email lists. And I've done like a crazy amount of affiliate stuff, like from selling university applications like 20 years ago via like SEO to ringtone subscription services, which eventually didn't end well. But man, I had like 17 years or 16 years worth of like digital business before I ever really touched ecom. So
Oh wow.
yeah, there's a lot of different stuff that I did, but like from actual ecom, we had a merger in like 2014 with a couple of like print magazines, and we were physically selling print subscriptions as well as that quickly migrated into doing like subscription boxes, and we produced some of the biggest subscription boxes in Canada. And that was kind of like cutting our teeth on the e-commerce stuff, but it kind of started in a backwards path because people don't usually start with subscription boxes or magazines, which are kind of not going to be around for that much longer.
What kind of subscription what were you selling?
So the first subscription box we ever launched was the Explore magazine. We called it Live the Adventure Club. It still exists. We basically sold the business after Tru Earth got bigger, and we did like a seller back financing deal, which I don't know. Sometimes not the best, but it was a distraction for us when Tru Earth started getting bigger. So we more or less gave it away. But that was the first kind of like big success we had with like selling physical products.
Yeah. So take us back. I mean, you said like the first you were creating websites and selling ad space on websites in like 1998. Did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what were you doing in 1998? How old are you? And like how did you discover the internet?
I think I was in grade 11 in 1998. I graduated in 99. Actually, maybe I was in grade 12. I could have even been 97, but I don't know. It's funny. So like before that, I was really into like computers and stuff like that for a brief period before I became the party animal phase in high school. But when my dad was really into like tech and stuff like that, and we had a computer at home pretty early. And when the internet came around, he was really into it. I can remember him like bringing home Mosaic, which was like Netscape, which was before Firefox. Like, it was like, and he's like, you got to see this. You got to see this World Wide Web thing. And he showed us like the shittiest web browser that ever existed. But I was like, oh my God, Pamela Anderson's loading slowly bit by bit, And I'm like trying to get it to load before anybody comes into the room on the dial up. But him introducing me to that, and he didn't introduce me to the Pamela Anderson images. I think that was self-discovery. But I remember we were at like Safeway one day, which is like a grocery store. It's in the US too, but it's big out here in Western Canada. And there was like how to make a web page magazine. And I'm like, Dad, can I get this? And I think I was in grade 9 or 10. And he's like, sure. And then Kevin and I like went home and like started making these stupid web pages. And then as the late 90s crept up, like with the .com boom, like advertising became like this huge thing. And I actually met this guy that I was partying with. He was making like thousands of dollars a month in high school. I was like, this is crazy. What are you doing? And there was this advertising platform called, I think it was called Allclicks. And like, they didn't really give a shit like where you're sending traffic from or what you were sending traffic from. I can remember putting like a link on my website, do not click this. And it was like 3 to 4 cents every time somebody clicked it. And that was kind of like the first taste when I was in high school. And I was like, man, there's a real opportunity to make money here. Like, yeah. So that's a super long-winded, very beginning of the story. But yeah, like that's kind of how it all started. And then I bet a newspaper clip somewhere around here around 2001 or just after 9/11, we released like our first, it was like a joke and media website. We had like videos on there, but way before YouTube. And we were actually in the newspaper in the UK for being like one of the first one of the first websites to host video, but it was incredibly expensive. So we wound up just kind of going back to like, I guess they're kind of like memes and jokes back then, but we built an email list of like 500,000 subscribers. And like, it was, I mean, it was as a 20-year-old, we were probably making a couple $1,000 a month. But that seemed like insanity to me at that age because like it's coming out of thin air,
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy, dude. So like, it really reminds me of a story where I came to Canada from China in 2001, and I met someone in church in 2000, and I want to say like, I don't know, sometime in high school, grade 12. So call it 2006, 2007 in high school. And this guy was making like 10K per month. And he was only like I think he was like grade 10, grade 9 at the time.
That's like a billionaire for a kid in grade 9.
Dude, he was making insane amount of money. And what I realized he does now is that he basically buys, so he basically just buys websites, and then that's already have I guess ad revenue, and then he will just SEO the crap out of them to increase the traffic, and then he will increase the ad revenue, and then he will sell the websites.
It's pretty
That's like literally all he did.
Yeah, so it's like basically, I mean, I think that's a great way to build businesses now. Like, I mean, if you have, I mean, I guess it's kind of what like private equity does a lot of times, right? Is they find a business that's got some inefficiencies, buys them, cleans them up, applies their business logic and like efficiencies to the business, and then creates more enterprise value and flips them, right?
Yeah, yeah. So have you ever had like a full-time job since you started making money so early?
Yeah. So I worked at like, I'm trying to think. So in like 2000, so yeah, I did. The first like real full-time job, like, so I worked for way back in the day. I worked part-time for like I did like tech work for the SkyTrain system here when they were building it. But that was only part-time. And then I eventually got a job in like 2002, I think at eBay when eBay first started here. And I worked there for like 5 weeks. And then I got a job.
Classic entrepreneur, 5
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah. I got a job, but I'd applied for a job at Crystal Decisions, which became Business Objects and then became SAP. And I was like the next in line. And they called me like 4 weeks into this eBay job, and they're like, "You want this job?" And I was like, "Yes." And eBay, like when I showed up to give my notice, they literally like escorted me out of the building so that I couldn't like steal any info or anything like that. But I worked there for like 2.5, 3 years. And I think it was probably a good thing for me. I learned a lot of time management skills and other things, but it was it was a taste of what, like, waking up every morning and going to work and stuff felt like. But I've had other part-time jobs since then. Like, entrepreneurship is not all unicorns and lollipops and butterflies, right? There's been times where shit was hard and I had to work. So, it's part of the game.
Yeah, totally. So let's talk a little bit about your transition from all the other online stuff into the first physical / e-commerce product. And you had already mentioned Tru Earth. So Tru Earth, you were a co-founder of. When did Tru Earth start? Tell us the story of how, like, the beginning, the origin story of Tru Earth.
Yeah, so we had done we had a lot of success with subscription boxes, and we were getting noticed by like a lot of other print magazines, and we had helped we'd built some subscription boxes for other print magazines. Like we had done the Simply Beautiful box for BC Living, which I think was the biggest women's subscription box in Canada. And then we had done this other one for like a luxury organics brand. That did fairly well. But there's the other two founders of Tru Earth were Brad Liskey and Kevin Hinton. And Brad had like this foster, or his wife had I guess the foster brother or something like that growing up. And he had invested in this, he was a pilot. He had invested in this patent, and he had come to Brad at, I guess, multiple different occasions and been like, "Hey, I've got this, I've got access to this like patented laundry detergent product. They tried bringing it to the market, but it didn't go super well. You guys were like, do so well with all these subscription products. Like, do you guys want to license it and like take it to market?" And like we kicked it around a lot because like laundry detergent is a fairly inexpensive product. And acquisition costs can be pretty high. So I was just, initially I'm like, I don't know how we're going to make this work. And I had like a shower moment one day after we had kind of tested it a little bit, where I was like, I just thought of like the entire marketing like came to me in the shower. I like literally hopped out of the shower, and this hasn't happened to me a ton of times. Like I get good ideas, and you probably get good ideas, and like you're excited about them for like a couple of hours, and then they kind of like whatever another idea pops into your head, like this is typical ADHD stuff. And but I got out, I like pumped everything that I said into the microphone, and I sent it to Brad and Kevin, and then I'm like, I just got super excited, and I went in and made the website. We had the inventory already, and
Wait, what was the idea though? What was take us back into that shower?
yeah, so like, well, so the problem with laundry detergent, if you go and sell it just directly in retail, is like, especially if it's a new format, people don't like there's not like magazines out there where people are like reading like laundry detergent weekly, or laundry detergent aficionado, right? Like in order to sell a different format that's novel and different, you pretty much have to educate people why they need to switch, because otherwise you just like go in the laundry aisle, plug your nose, grab whatever's the cheapest thing that you normally buy, whatever's on sale, and you go on, right? So I was trying to think of a different angle, and like environmentalism was really big at the time. And I had a lot of anxiety around like the future for my kids. And I was like, okay, well, this product's environmentally friendly because there's no plastic packaging. And, what's a problem that people have? Because people, direct response marketing, people generally move away from pain sooner than they move towards pleasure. And I just didn't think there's probably a whole lot of pleasure in laundry detergent. So the headline was finally a laundry detergent that's as sensitive on the planet as it is your skin. And it was just the timing was very perfect for the environment piece, as well as like, lots of people have allergic reactions. So basically built it off of that. And but the day that I put it out, for day one, crickets. I sent it to one person. Her name is Melinda. She was like customer zero. She's a friend of mine. When I used to sell phones at Bell, she worked with me. She was another salesperson. She was the first person that purchased it. I didn't ask her to. I just sent it to her. Said, check this out. We're launching this. And then the next day, all of a sudden, ding, 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 like $8 sales all day. And it was, the novel product, like the novel, like if you're going to sell something that's different than what people are currently using, like there has to be like visually, to get people interested, there needs to be something novel about it to spike their interest. And like the first ad was literally the package sitting on the counter, the washing machine open, and then my fingers holding a laundry detergent strip. Probably need to cut my nails. They're probably gross. I can't remember, but it just ripped. Like it just ripped.
So yeah, so for those that are, I'm sure you probably know what Tru Earth does now, but for those that are listening, maybe not familiar with Tru Earth, they sell basically laundry strips, right? So instead of laundry detergent in a liquid form, yeah, for those that are watching, they basically come in strips. So this idea came to you in the shower, and that, by the way, that's a crazy headline. That's like, to me, it's like killing two birds with one stone. That's like so perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is that the first campaign you ran? So the first campaign you ran basically just ripped. Like you didn't test any other angles. It was like, I thought of this idea. Okay, let's test it. And then it took off. Which year was this, by the way?
2019, April 6th, 2019. So,
oh, wow. You even remember the date. Why was that? Why do you remember that date? Like what was about that date?
I don't know.
I mean, child, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I've like talked about it enough that it's kind of like burned in my brain, but I actually had another kid about a month and a half after that. So it's easy to remember that year for me. But yeah, it was nuts, man. Like it's funny. So, sometimes you'll bang a grand slam like out the gate, and then sometimes you'll put something out that you think's the best thing ever, and you won't even get a base hit,
Yeah.
and then that doesn't mean that base hit or non-base hit business is a bad idea. It just means sometimes like finding that messaging that works uh it is difficult. And I think now more than ever, unless you have something incredibly novel or some incredibly novel way to present something,
Mhm.
the hardest piece is finding that messaging match to the
Mhm.
persona.
Mhm. Mhm. So going back to that first ad, and I remember you showing me, and I'm like, it's not a very pretty looking ad, right? It's like probably like shaky hands, bad iPhone quality, but like it looks so damn organic, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, exactly.
how long was that ad? Like, do you remember?
It was a static, man. It was like literally like, you mean like how long did it run for, or like how long?
Oh, okay. So it's a static
It
image. I
was
thought
just
it
a
was a video
static
ad.
image. Like,
Oh,
the funny part is like, I don't think that like I ever ran a successful video ad for probably like the first 7 years that I ran Facebook ads. I just exclusively ran static Facebook ads from like 2014 to like basically when Tru Earth started. Like we did a few video ads, but like I just sucked at it.
wow.
So like I always just did static ads, and that
Wow.
was what we started with.
Wow. What's the secret of running static then? If you're, I mean, clearly you've had a lot of, um, like talk to us about, like, do you need like, what's your mental framework around static? Do you need like, you know, 5 letter long, headlines and then like before and after, like what's your, like, how do you go about thinking about creating static images?
I think like so like the difference between a static image and like a video ad is that a video ad has the ability to take you from like one level of consumer awareness to like another level of consumer awareness by consuming the video. So it has that advantage over static where like if you can use the video to educate the person where you send them to, you could send them further down the funnel purchasing than you can if you just give them a static ad. So like your static ads basically there's not really a transition. You can basically have one set of messaging and then you have to send that person to a page to do the rest of the heavy lifting. So like if they're not aware of your product, you need like some sort of like long form like if they're problem aware, you're probably going to have to send them to like a landing page or an advertorial or like some kind of listicle that seems native where you're educating them on the problem and presenting your product as a solution. If you've got like a video that like is taking them through all these like problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and then making an offer, you've taken this person from not even knowing that there's solutions to their problem to like presenting them an offer, and you're able to push them somewhere further down the funnel. So like with statics, you have to be a little bit more conservative with understanding the intent of that particular ad so that you send them to the appropriate place uh, to maximize like conversion rate. So like video, you can have more on Facebook or on Meta or on YouTube, conversion, more of the sale or more of the converting can happen in platform. Where with statics, you pretty much are like you're selling the click, you're creating curiosity, or you're presenting an offer, or you're busting objections or whatever, and you're taking them specifically to where they should be in that funnel because each static ad's only going to have really one objective, which is to move them further down
Mm.
the funnel and hopefully convert them. But you have to be a little bit more intentional with what you're doing to do it properly, right?
Got it. So the image, you're strictly thinking about how do I capture someone's attention, get that person to basically click on the ad so that they can read the advertorial, read the whatever to move them down along the customer journey.
Yeah, or you can send them like a VSL or whatever, and then it's kind of just like where do you want the educational piece of what you're trying to sell the person? Where do you want it to happen? Do you want it to happen in platform, or do you want to control the experience? And statics are like um you can generally get a higher click through rate because if you click on the image, it goes to the page versus playing a video. But you just have to be more thoughtful about how you go, where you're sending the person, because if the person's not aware or is unaware or problem aware, and you send them to like a PDP,
Yeah.
they don't even know that they need something. So it's stupid to send them there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So if there's kind of like, let's say there's some newer brands, even like mine, for example, and same as yours, right? Both you and I are launching kind of new brands at this moment. So how should someone think about, are are you targeting one specific like problem aware audience right now, unaware audience right now? Like for the first set of, and I guess for the first campaign that you do, is there a one customer awareness level that you're just trying to attack to open to you know what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah. So I mean, um, so I think most people on Facebook are generally going after like solution aware, product aware, or most aware, which are like basically your warmest audience. I think like if you have a hypothesis that that a particular persona has a certain needs and certain that you're trying to sell to them, the bottom of the funnel is a great place to just test, because your Facebook's just going to give you people that are in market anyways. So it's more about an exercise in how do I differentiate what I'm doing from what somebody else is doing? Like, how do we differentiate our product? And then kind of move up funnel from there. Like, I know that, people typically need multiple touch points, but I think, you start like, for me, it's like, okay, well, let's see what's our baseline CPA to start with. And then we know that like we can dramatically improve this by dialing in the avatar, dialing in the messaging, figuring out what works, finding better creative formats. But yeah, typically I'd probably just start with like product aware, solution aware, and maybe a few most aware ads with like specific offer to try to push people who I do introduce to the brand over the edge.
Yeah. No, that's, yeah. I just feel like you have a lot of like these golden gems that you gathered throughout the years with regards to, just your marketing expertise. So we'll come back to that, but I kind of want to go back to the early days of True Earth again. So you're saying the first day, 0 sales. Second day,
Yeah, we did get one. We got Melinda. Melinda bought, but there's no cold sale.
Yeah. So you got $8. How do you, I mean, your story kind of reminds me of Moise Ali's story, right? Where he was selling like a $10 deodorant. I think you will like not recommended something to do in 2025, 2026, right? Like, do you know anybody that can make a $8 product work to like today?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty tough. I think like the only way that you can make less expensive products work is by selling like bundles. Like, you look like Smart Sweets did. They didn't sell individual packs of their candy on their page, but you could buy like a box and you could like do mix and match. So like there's ways to do it, but like most people don't want to buy 8 packs of deodorant or 6 packs of deodorant before they've tried it,
Yeah. So
Yeah,
for you guys,
probably not.
no. They would definitely buy a single one. I mean, that's a crazy story. Like Moise, yeah, that's still one of like the craziest stories in ecom, I think. So with the $8 product, were you just getting people to do a lot of like, were you incentivizing people to do subscriptions right away, or did you sell bundles as well, like for your product initially?
Yeah, so with Tru Earth, it was $12.95 US or Canadian. It was the same price in both places. But like, so when we first launched, we didn't even offer a one-time purchase. So like we only had subscriptions, which wasn't the best user experience. And then you also couldn't cancel on our website, which is also not a good user experience. And we also didn't offer different frequencies that you could purchase, which also wasn't a very good user experience. And the frequency thing was probably the biggest lesson in there. And it sounds ignorant to think that people would need different amounts of laundry detergent, but like, when we were caught up in the moment, we're like, okay, monthly subscription. But a guy that lives by himself in a basement suite probably does one load of laundry a week or every 2 weeks, versus like a family of 4 does on average, I think about a load of laundry a day when you include like sheets and like towels and kids' clothes and all that stuff. And what was happening, we found, so like before we eventually offered frequencies, so like monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, whatever. We found that the churn was bad, and I think like the psychology behind it was people would be getting this product every month, and they would put it in their laundry detergent section and they're covered. And the third month, if they're still using the first package, they're like, oh shit, I need to cancel this. Like, I had to remember to cancel this. And they would put it in their cupboard and they'd go on the website and they couldn't find it. Like, oh, this is frustrating or whatever, right? And then the next one would come and they'd be like, oh my God, I forgot to figure out how to cancel this. And every time they look in the cupboard to go do laundry, now they start associating this like shitty consumer experience with your brand. And every time they think about it, there's cognitive dissonance that like, oh, I got to deal with this. I got to deal with this. And then when the laundry detergent eventually runs out, do you think they're going to tell themselves, hey, we should go subscribe again? Absolutely not, because they've now created, there's like this negative experience around like the reminder of seeing your brand. It's like Pavlov's dogs, where we'd ring a bell and then feed them and then probably start to salivate, right? So you're creating this like Pavlovian response in people's heads that when they see your product, they're like, fuck. So in my mind, like the brands that will do two things. First of all, you need to provide people the opportunity to get the amount that they actually use. So changing the frequency or like the volume that they get. And then second, like you need to make pausing or stopping easy enough that they're going to come turn it back on when they need more of it. And I know that like a lot of brands really make it difficult to unsubscribe. And it's really short-sighted because you want people to be long-term raving fans. And if you have a good product, if somebody stops using it temporarily because they have too much, they're going to come back and get it if it's as good as you claim it is. But if it's not, it's kind of like I don't want to say it's a scam, but like a lot of these brands that make it difficult, like they know these people are never coming back and their product's not living up to their claims. So like, you know, they're almost like holding you hostage because they know that you're eventually, once you stop, you're done.
Dude, you know who has a terrible cancellation policy? Zoom. Have you ever tried to cancel Zoom?
I don't think I have. I think I just keep paying.
Holy shit, dude. It's like, I know they're a publicly traded company and everything, but man, they make it difficult. In fact, if you cancel, I actually got an email this morning. Funny you're talking about this. I got an email this morning because I canceled something last month. I'm not using enough seats, so I'm canceling 5 seats. I don't need it. And you had to confirm the cancellation in the email after. Like, I canceled on the website. Cancel. Yes, I want to cancel, blah, 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 cancel. Then afterwards, I got an email saying, hey, like action required. You need to like confirm this downgrade or something. I kind of just ignored it. I'm like, well, I canceled already. What's the point? Like, I don't need to, right? I got dinged again this morning saying my downgrade was unsuccessful because I didn't confirm it in the email. I'm like, dude, I did everything on your website.
That's brutal. It's like trying to quit the gym.
Dude, it's like, and they're a publicly traded company. Like, I get it if they're like a private company doing some shady practices. I feel like this is kind of like, you know, like anyways, it is what it is. And I've also had the same experience last week with an app. I'm trying to correct my posture right now. So I got hit with this like posture app. And then it was such a terrible experience of canceling.
I thought you were going through, is that the same app you were telling me about the other day that gives you like a score?
Yeah. So that one I'm going through. I downloaded this other one I got targeted. I just wanted to see what it was about. It was $1. Yeah. But they didn't tell you. So it was $1, but they didn't tell you they auto subscribe you for $39.99 every single month after that. Like, it was shady, dude. It was shady.
I mean, I think a lot of these things are like, there's so many people that that start brands. I mean, it's so easy to build things now with all the tools that are available with AI. Like, I think like you have these inexperienced people that come in and like don't look at regulations or follow the legal methodology to do things. And like the repercussions, I'm not saying that the repercussions aren't there. The repercussions are definitely there, but like people see other people doing things illegally and think that, oh, that's acceptable.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, it's like, it's online marketing, right? Because we all kind of sit behind a computer screen. So like keyboard warriors, right? Like they'll say whatever, but they'll never say that in person. Like I've never really had like a terrible bad experience with people in general, like in person, but like on the internet, it's a very, very nasty place, right?
Yeah.
So I think you kind of take the same mentality and apply that to like online marketing. You're like, yeah, like this messaging is a little bit more, you know, aggressive, but fuck it, I'll say it anyway. Like no one can see me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I feel like that's kind of the online marketing mentality. So with kind of going back to True Earth, I guess, like 2019, if you're comfortable, like I assume you guys hit like 7 figures. Like, do you guys hit 8 figures, or what was the growth trajectory?
Yeah, I think it's like
That's
we hit like I think we hit like the 8-figure run rate. I mean I don't have the numbers, but like
yeah,
we hit the 8-figure run rate I think by like month 7.
that's insane. So were you guys? I know there's a lot of people doing this now. Were you guys the first to do this, or
So so there was like the company that manufactured the product for us. They're the ones that had invented all. They had bought the patent from this guy in New Brunswick who had invented it like around I think 2008 or 2009, 2010, something like that. And they had tried to go to market, but their strategy was like just get in retail. And it was like in London Drugs and stuff, but they had it in the travel section and it just didn't sell. And they had it even I don't remember how they had it priced, but like I said earlier, like people you have boring products that people have been using for generations. Like I think like historically people, women typically make the laundry detergent decisions in the family. I'm not saying this is some like red pill or whatever crap, but like, it's just who is the makes the decisions on average. And they typically buy the same product that their parents used, and then they start buying it. Or like, for me, when I was buying laundry detergent as a single guy in my 20s or whatever, like I said earlier, I would literally plug my nose, go into the aisle, and I would like look at what Tide scent was on sale that week, and that's just the one that I bought. So when they went to retail, the product didn't move because nobody knew what it was, and it wasn't something that was like generationally passed down or told for them to use. They just used the same stuff. And it's kind of like Tide spent an absolute enormous amount of money to get Tide Pods as a medium for laundry detergent. And so when we basically had to do the same thing to start this category. And the category is now like $1 billion category. It's absolutely insane. Lots of knockoffs popped up afterwards, and it's kind of cool to think about that like almost everybody stole my entire marketing
playbook?
playbook. Yeah, but
Wait, but how did they?
yeah.
Sorry, going back. I mean, you said this product was patented. How did other people?
So,
How can they
so
sell the other products?
Matt Bertulli from the Operators
Free.
podcast, his buddy of mine, and he always told me a patent is a better sword than it is a shield, and you need a lot of money to wield that sword because like litigation is incredibly expensive, and yeah, it's incredibly complicated. So in the hands of like a Tide or or like a Church and Dwight or Unilever, like patents are valuable because they can choke you out because he who has the most money in litigation wins, and they can kill a small business by, if they wanted to, by tying them up in legal fees. But like as a newer business, especially the patent was held by another company and it was licensed to us. We had exclusive license eventually, but they weren't selling to our competitors. The competitor, I think what had happened is they had initially tried to build the tooling in China, but the Chinese, the company they had used was having difficulty getting the consistency on the product. So they went back to Canada and started building the technology here. And I think like once our product started taking off, the guys in China are like, yo, we got this. Like, who wants to buy it? And like trying to fight China over like a North American patent is why you can't.
But you can sue the brands. Like, have you guys tried like to sue any brands before, and they cost a lot of
Yeah, I
money?
mean,
Or
I think there's been some, but again, we weren't the ones like we licensed the patent, so the patent holder had to do the actual litigation work. And I think there's a couple that we kind of bonked on the head, but like there's a lot you have to prove as well to execute on these things. It's incredibly expensive. So like I said before, unless you have really deep pockets, it's tough to protect the patent.
is there anything you would have done differently going back, knowing all this? Just like go heavier in marketing and get more market share, or what?
Yeah, I think
Play it
I
there.
probably would have pushed harder on the earlier like the earlier legal stuff. We tried, but like it was just there wasn't a whole lot you could do. But I mean, you see it happen to everybody, right? Like look at Theragun. They had all the massage gun patents. You know, I brought in a whole bunch of massage guns myself just to use when they were like super expensive. And now they're everywhere. Like there's like 10,000 different massage gun brands, right? And like Theragun just kind of had to let it go.
So like, like what's the value of a patent if you're, I mean, yes, I get the patent is good for bigger companies, right? Like Deloitte or whatever, not Deloitte, but anyways, not all these different bigger companies, but then for small fish like us, like, would you even?
I think it's less valuable, but I do think if you go to exit and you're trying to exit to somebody who does have money, the patent is then valuable because they want the IP because they're able
for everybody.
Yeah, they've got like, you know, legal departments specifically for that kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a moat. I know that like whatever people can go and have stuff made other places in the world, but like, yeah, I don't know. Like, you know, another thing that I looked at was like Castleflex, which is kind of like a cool stretching device. I don't know if you've heard of that. Like,
oh yeah, the one with the you put it on your foot.
Yeah. So I was like, man, really cool. I'm like, I can make this so easily. I'm like, and they sell it for so much. I'm like, I wonder what the patents are like on this.
Dude, it's so expensive. I mean, dude, I would have bought it if it's like $90. I really would have bought it. But like, I'm not buying this thing for I can use a towel and do the same thing.
Yeah. So I think they're like, they're good. Well, kind of. So what makes this thing different and what's patented about it is that your ankle slips into this thing so that when you pull, when you use a towel, your foot has to kind of like stay extended up so it doesn't slip over the top. With that thing, your ankle slides into like a harness. So when you pull, your toe can be pulled down and you get like more stretching. But I think like they're a perfect example of like unit economics that work with like advertising. Light just shut off. I bet you they would have a much harder time selling that product at the $99 range. Like not they would probably sell more, but I bet you the amount of advertising they need to do to sell one unit, they probably need like a $200 they probably need profit, or they probably need to sell for $200 just to
so they have like in the perfect world, like they probably would like to sell for 99, but you're saying it's basically impossible. Like they basically have to price anchor the product at their current price point just because the amount of like advertising goes into like
yeah, exactly. Like I think the channel that they've chosen to sell this product on requires that level, like that much advertising in order to make a purchase. And my guess is that like they could probably sell maybe, I don't know, maybe 30% more, 40% more if it was half the price. But the CPA is probably like, this is like kind of like a Ridge wallet, which Sean's told me many times, like, you know, people buy one wallet and that's why
I've had the same wallet for 10 plus years.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not like you're going to go and buy, like, you don't have to, there's not like you're not going to get like a second one unless like, you know, you've got a few people in your family that have different leg length or something. So like we have to, and I think that's pretty common amongst like fitness equipment. I've got a few friends that are in that space and like their CPAs, they basically have to price the product around their acquisition costs. And I think that is one, like, you know, one nice thing about selling a more expensive product is that like, if you have a brand, it's basically like drop shipping, except you're building a brand with the intent to hopefully sell other things to these people in the future. But it's almost like an arbitrage play, right?
Yeah. Can you maybe talk to us a little bit about, I'm curious a little bit about more like CRO as well as like testing offers. Can you talk to us a little bit about just like the things you've learned when it comes, I know it's a very big question, but I just kind of want to give you the floor to just like jam on this, like whatever idea you come up first. Let's talk about like testing offers first. I think it's very, very important, right? What are some lessons you've learned from offer testing?
Oh man. Okay, I'll give you an interesting story. So we used to do these like subscription boxes, right? So we released like 5 or 6 of them in like a year. And with the women's subscription box, it was called the Simply Beautiful box. And it was like, we did because of the unit economics, we did quarterly boxes. So the boxes would be more expensive. They weren't like the $29 FabFit or whatever the cheaper ones were. They were like 99 to like $129 a box, and you get it every quarter. So we released the women's box. It killed it. So they were like, oh, well, it seems like a smart idea. Let's make a men's box that would have like, I don't know, men's products in it. And the CPAs were like astronomically high. Like it was like impossible. It was not a not unsustainable business, because guys they don't really care about getting as much about getting like mystery style stuff as women do. So on the women's side, we historically would upsell. Like one of our upsells would be like you get a previous box for like, I don't know, like $70 or something. So they would get their one box, and then they would get like, we tell them what was in this other box, so they'd be excited about it, and they get that. And then eventually we're like, why don't we try selling the men's box as an upsell on the women's box? And I don't remember if I thought it was a good idea or a bad idea, but let's like be like, hey, you're buying this box for yourself. Why not get one for your husband too? So that you're both happy when they arrive. And I think like some of the psychology is there's like, oh man, if I get this like box that shows up and I don't have anything for him, like, oh, if I get him one too, then you can't get mad at me because I got myself one. And we were getting like incredibly cheap upsells for this other subscription box. And it allowed us to spend more money driving customers to the women's box, because we were getting basically double subscriptions at the same time. So like, there's not really a huge lesson in that there, but like, sometimes you got to think outside of the box in terms of what you offer. But like, if you're selling a consumable, I can tell you one thing with like absolute certainty: the absolute best thing to sell to somebody who's buying a consumable is more of that same consumable. And like, we did it with Tru Earth. We used to upsell like a year's worth. Like they've already made like, if you think about decisions, like from a psychology perspective, if somebody's already made the decision that they're going to buy whatever, laundry detergent, you get the mental load of having to make a decision between, hey, do you want to buy a larger quantity so you don't have to think about this again in the future, versus like, hey, here's dishwasher detergent. Well, I haven't been sold on dishwasher detergent yet, so now I have to like go through this mental process of trying to make this decision. And that could actually pull, if it's not a post-purchase upsell, that could completely pull me away from even making the first decision. So the number one trick with consumables, if you want to increase your AOV, is whether it's a post-purchase upsell or like in-cart upsell or whatever, is offer more of what you've already convinced them to buy at a better deal.
Okay, question for you. How much of a better deal? Have you found a sweet point? What's your go-to?
Yeah. So here's what I've noticed. So like, we've done this a lot. Like I've helped some other supplement brands, and what we've noticed is that generally speaking, the highest conversion rate on the amount to sell them is relative to what they've already purchased. So like, if somebody buys $30 worth of a product, they'll likely be okay spending another $30 if it means a better deal. If somebody spends it's common on supplements to be like 1 month supply, 3 month supply, 6 month supply, or like a year supply, right? And we did a ton of split testing on this, but we actually customized the one-click upsells, which is like the post-purchase upsell where there's minimal risk because they've already paid for the original product. Is we were able to drive up like the AOV from for on a $29 product to over $100 AOV by matching the upsell sequence with the number of products that person chose when they initially purchased. So like, I'm sure you're familiar with it. If the editor winds up making any sort of visuals on this, you look at most supplement sites, their direct response, and they almost always have this like three offer stack. And you match the upsell offer with how much they spend. And then the people who do buy the year, they like massively drag up the AOV when you double their AOV, right?
Interesting. Okay, so if someone spent $100, you want to present them with another $100 offer, but with way more value.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it could be 100, it could be like 120. I mean, you have to experiment with that. But I can't remember which, it's a big copywriter, or I can't, or persuasion person that said it, but like different people require different amounts of spend to feel a dopamine release from like a purchase. So, you get excited about stuff, but like if you're used to buying Ferraris, when you buy a Honda Civic, you just don't give a shit. So like once you get to, you need to provide an opportunity for people who want to spend more money to spend more money to get that feeling of like that the consumer dopamine.
That's like going to the casino, right? Like maybe the first time you went in there, I remember I went in there with $40. I lost it in blackjack in like literally 2 minutes. I'm like, holy shit. I was at River Rock the day I turned 19. I went in. I was like, did I just lose $40 just like that? That was like the fastest. I've never lost money that quickly ever in my entire life.
You feel
And now
great,
obviously like,
right?
you just get $40 or like whatever. But I guess it's kind of like similar analogy, right? Like
Yeah.
like
Right.
we
Yeah.
always just try to hit the next level in everything we do.
Yeah. And like, I actually think it was Perry Belcher. I think it was Perry Belcher, but I've heard him like he talks about like having like some astronomical offer on the back end that's like just incredibly expensive, just to cater to that like small audience. But yeah, I don't know, like even like offering annual supplies for consumable products. I know that people are always like, I always hear like apprehension from brands, and they're like, oh, well, nobody's gonna want like that much. I'm like,
You don't know.
have you tried it? Like,
Yeah.
you used to sell like one of our biggest, like, I used to call it like the second helping sales. We would do annual subscriptions where you get a box that had like 384 loads, and then we'd give away like a free gift with it, which would be like one of our other products. Like people really liked our dryer balls, but like if you look at it, it was like 99 is like $110 for a year, and you get like this $20 product with it versus paying 130, 156, $160. Like you're saving, the person was saving a ton of money, and they were getting enough laundry that they didn't have to think about it anymore. And like that wound up, like we sold so many of those. Like all of our sales were focused initially on like, how like this is at least when I was running the show, was like how can we sell the most amount of money worth of these products that will subsidize the unit economics on people who don't. And I tested, like, I even tried making like we made one Black Friday, I made a box. It was like $400 that had like all sorts of stuff in it. And we probably sold like 5 of those boxes. So they weren't really worth doing, but I'm like, if we can sell 100, can we sell 400? And the answer was only a tiny bit.
So if that person buys a year of laundry detergents, then do they get put on like a yearly subscription then? Like next year, Jan 1, they get another year upload of load?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, I think they stepped away from it for a bit. I don't know if they're still how they're doing it now, but like it wound up becoming like our top selling SKUs were our annual subscriptions. So
Interesting.
we get people in the door on like one-time purchase or like a basic subscription, and then once they realize that, oh, I really like this, we would have these big sales, or like the Black Friday, Earth Week, whatever, Earth Month, and a lot of people would transition to the bigger subscription.
Interesting. Oh, so you did those subscriptions on those sale dates?
Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't a post-purchase upsell or both?
No. Well, we also had post-purchase upsells as well, but for a year's worth as well. But those are like two separate things.
Interesting. Got it. Okay. Very interesting. Okay. Well, can you, so Talk to us maybe a little bit about email marketing as well, then, if that's kind of what you guys did. So give us like the basic rundown, 30,000 feet.
30,000 square feet. We can jam that
Square feet. Yeah,
down on
square feet.
30,000 square feet.
Yeah, that's huge. What are you doing email marketing right now for your new brand? What is the kind of the 80/20 when it comes to email marketing?
I think people like to complicate it a lot in order to try to sell the service. I think the technology's come a long way. I think the 80/20 is really like, make sure you have a good post-purchase a post-purchase sequence. It really like tries to to connect the person, like their personal identity to kind of like what the brand means. And like what I mean by that is like from a retention perspective, like how do you make the person believe so much in what you're doing that quitting your product is like giving up on their identity. So I think that the messaging right after purchase is incredibly important. Also, if you can make somebody buy something really early on, like right after they purchase from you once, I think it's one of the strongest signals for like lifetime value and retention. That I think like making sure that you have reorder cadence tied into your email marketing, especially if you're selling consumable products, you know what, like roughly when they're going to run out. So you can make sure you're in the inbox and ready to make sure they're able to get more. There's a lot of different ways to go about email marketing, but I think like having some sort of weekly cadence where you're sending something to their inbox is important. And I'm a big fan of like pretty heavy email and SMS promos during like sales events,
Mhm.
and then kind of easing off. Like I think like generally speaking, you want to try to get like 25 to 30% of your revenue coming from email. I think that's like a healthy number. Yeah, if you're able to capture email addresses through like lead magnets or content or something like that, profitably, then I've done that in the past and it's worked really well. It's a lot harder now with how much ads cost, but I think the 80/20 of it's really like make sure your post-purchase sequence is good. Make sure you have like refill. You send at least one email a week and you smash it hard during promos. Usually I think that covers most of it.
Yeah, yeah.
You can segment your brains out and do all sorts of other fancy tricks, but like, I don't know, like they're all tactics, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. What's I kind of want to, ask you this one last question. What do you think most people get wrong when it comes to ecom, when it comes to testing messaging? Like, why do you think some businesses can never take off? Is it just because you worked with a lot of different brands, like a lot of different brands get stuck at a certain level? Is it just because they're not testing enough messaging? Their ads suck? Their products suck? I mean, okay, product aside, like obviously if you have
Yeah.
a shit product, like you're never gonna make it, right? But assuming that you have a good product, right? What are some of the patterns that you've seen where a business is just not growing? And like, have you seen a clear pattern when it comes to this, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing, like if your product's good and people like your product and you have like social proof and stuff like that, I think like the biggest limiter is usually like unit economics, right? Like if you're trying to sell a product for $49 and your acquisition cost is $110, you need 3 months just to get your cash flow back, not even like be profitable, right? So you have to have a good product. Your unit economics have to work. If you're converting anywhere over 2% on or 1 to 2%, I mean, it really depends on the category, right? But the unit economics is the biggest thing. Like if you figured out your messaging and you can't get it below a certain threshold, like you have a few levers, right? You have your AOV, you can try to boost that up, or your revenue per session. You can try to create better ads that target less expensive audiences, which will bring down, like you can get more specific for like, I always use a golf example, but like if you have an electrolyte brand that's generic, you're trying to boil the ocean. But if you try to sell to like, if you make an electrolyte brand specifically for golfers, I don't know why golfers would need a specific electrolyte brand, but like if you somehow cater it to them, you can kind of niche down. I mean, golfers are probably expensive. You can probably find a cheaper demographic, but like make it all about them. That's one way. But yeah, where we're going with that? AOV, better ads that that get higher click through rates that are relevant, or going after cheaper audiences, or massively jack up your lifetime value. But if you're a newer brand, you're not going to know what your lifetime value is. So unless you're funded, trying to bet on a year payback is probably stupid.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the playbook I have now is with my new brand. I mean, the data is definitely limited just because I told you I've been dealing with a high CPM issue. By the way, if anybody's listening to this, I've seen $700 CPMs and you fixed it, please let me know. But at the end of the day, I've tested multiple ad accounts now. I'm just like accepted the fact that maybe I'm just getting like some crazy my conversion rate is also really high on the high CPMs. So maybe I'm just getting like this weird pocket of customers. So I'm definitely changing my messaging. But I actually want to share a couple things with all of you. This is a huge, huge epiphany moment. I'd love to jam with you on this. But thank you all for listening till the very end. If you all enjoy this episode, again, this is episode 1. Let me know if you're watching on YouTube. Just comment anything down below so I know people actually made it to the very end. If you are on Spotify or any other podcast platforms, feel free to drop a comment, leave a like, rate us. But thank you all for listening to the very end of this podcast, and we'll catch you all next week.
Become a founding subscriber. Come on, do it. Click the button. Click it.
Click it.